Many Americans are still recovering from that blizzard that hit parts of our nation this Christmas weekend. Buffalo, New York marked this as its worst blizzard in 50 years. With up to 5 feet of snow, it also left at least 28 people dead. And to make matters worse and compound an already difficult matter, criminals took advantage of the situation and hit the stores to loot. To help us make sense of it all, let's bring in expert on all of this, former Homeland Security Advisor, Secret Service Special Agent, and Newsmax contributor Charles Marino. Charles, good morning. New York Governor Kathy Hochul declared federal emergency because of the storm, but there wasn't any type of preventative action. Is it too little, too late now?
Yeah, it is. But, we've got to remember, too, that the law enforcement officers were impacted by the same types of weather conditions as the general public. So they were limited in terms of what they could do and what they could respond to. And their focus was the preservation of life, obviously, to make sure that as many people that may have been trapped in their cars, stuck in their homes without heat, were getting the help that they need. And even with them doing all of that, we still saw close to 50 people perished. So unfortunately, there is a criminal element that is rewarded by these democratic cities when they decide to take advantage of these types of situations and go out and commit crimes against stores and other locations.
These looting scenes are just absolutely outrageous in a snowstorm. We all have seen this from hurricanes. I covered Florence on the East Coast in 2018. People would literally boat up to other houses in the storm surge to steal supplies. But how weird is it to do this in a blizzard?
Yeah, you would hope that if somebody is going to venture out in that type of condition, that they would offer their help, right? Check on their neighbors, assist law enforcement where possible, become part of the solution and not the problem. But the criminal elements of these cities, because they're usually repeat offenders, because of things like bail reform, defunding the police, they just cycle through society over and over again and continue to commit these types of acts. They're not interested in that. And they're also not going after items to sustain their own comfort and lives, right? They're going out and they're getting, big screen TVs. They're going out and they're looting sporting stores. So this is not like they're going and hitting a supermarket, getting food to bring it back to their families. That's not the case. So, the problem here lies with not law enforcement. Law enforcement in Buffalo, for example, is trying to do what they can do and has made some arrests. But it's with the district attorneys. And that's why these crimes continue to get committed in these types of situations, is there's no deterrence because there's no accountability.
I'm watching some of those TikToks play out on the screen, and the people are even captioning them. This is the time when our community should stick together. They say they're shaking their heads at just all the looting. And the problem is that when people attack their own communities, it creates an awful ripple effect. Here's what the mayor of Buffalo has said on the rise in crime.
I just want to add that people who are out looting when people are losing their lives in this harsh winter storm is just absolutely reprehensible. I don't know how these people can even live with themselves, how they can look at themselves in the mirror. They are the lowest of the low.
But you can reprimand them. There's just no repercussions for their actions. What are your thoughts?
No, you're right. Words are only words. I can scream from the top of the mountains here about how reprehensible this is, as can local politicians. But, they set the tempo here, and they've got to put pressure on the local district attorneys to actually enforce the law. And we're seeing this in major cities, Democratic run, across the country over and over again. And this is where the crime increases are taking place. This is where the most violence is taking place. We're seeing the National Crime Index, all the crimes included in that, go up in all of these large cities. And why? Because the district attorneys that were elected into office are not enforcing the law. And when you lose law and order, civilized society collapses. No society can sustain and exist without law and order. This goes all the way back to the beginning of time. There's always needs to be some laws on the books. They need to be enforced. Law enforcement needs to be supported here, given the resources. And the criminal elements need to know that if they commit crimes, especially during times of hardship like in Buffalo, that they're going to be held accountable.
Well, clearly it's a nationwide problem. Just over the Christmas weekend, 14 people were shot to death. One was just a 5-year-old kid. 16 others were hurt. Why during times like this? Because the blizzard was across the entire country. Why does crime go up during catastrophe?
Well, they know that law enforcement is limited in their responses, and it really is an opportunity to commit these crimes and not have to worry about law enforcement rushing. I mean, law enforcement is typically in these types of situations very public in what their priorities are, right? And that is life and safety of the citizens of the community. So criminals know this, unfortunately, and they're going to take the opportunity to carry out these crimes and be even freer from law enforcement response. But, then law enforcement needs to catch up and try and identify and catch these people, which they do put their resources towards. But then again, the district attorneys are not handing down punishments that are relevant and are going to deter future acts like this. The other thing, too, we need to start doing is, look, if communities are not going to enforce the law, we really need to start going after the money from the federal level. And I think it's inexcusable to provide federal grants to these cities if they're not putting public safety as a priority.
I agree. Cut the funding, cut the recidivism. Charles Marino, thank you so much for being on this morning.